All right, let's get right into this. We're unpacking a pretty provocative argument from our source material today. And the core idea is this: that feeling you have of always struggling to get ahead financially, well, the source claims it's not your fault. It's not a personal failure. It's actually the result of a system that's been designed to pull wealth away from you.
Yeah, you've heard this a million times, right? The source kicks things off by going straight after that kind of standard financial advice. It basically frames the whole just cut your spending narrative as a total distraction, a lie that's meant to make you blame yourself instead of looking at the bigger picture.
And then it hits you with this question. Just think about it for a second. The source does this to really tap into that feeling so many of us have, that you're on a treadmill, just working and working, but you never actually seem to move forward. For a lot of people, the honest answer is, I can't remember. And that is the exact foundation this whole argument is built on.
So that brings us to the first major point, this idea that the whole economic game is rigged. The source is arguing that the rules you've been told to play by, well, they were flawed from the very beginning. Okay, this one number is at the absolute core of the problem. According to the source, since the US dollar was taken off the gold standard back in 1971, its actual purchasing power has just collapsed by 98%. To put that in perspective, what you could buy for a single dollar back then would cost you around $50 today. This isn't some small adjustment, it's the fundamental reason why it feels like you're running in place. And wow, this chart just perfectly illustrates the fallout from that. The source shows this insane explosion in CEO pay right next to the wages for an average worker, which have pretty much gone nowhere in real terms. I mean, the visual gap on this slide tells the whole story. It's like two different planets, two completely different economic worlds existing at the same time. Let's keep going. So, if your wealth is disappearing, where's it going? Well, this is where the source introduces a concept it calls invisible theft. The argument is that your money, your savings, are being devalued quietly, behind the scenes, every single day. Now, this is so important. The source completely reframes how we should think about inflation. It's not some gentle, organic sign of a healthy economy. No, it's presented as a deliberate policy choice, a tool that's used to devalue currency by simply creating more and more of it out of thin air. And this timeline really puts that policy into perspective. The source points to these huge moments of money creation. We're talking trillions of dollars just flooding into the system. The argument is that this isn't some temporary fix. It's a pattern that's speeding up, and it has led us to the mind-boggling national debt we have right now. So, who actually benefits from all this? This is where the source brings up something called the Cantillon effect. It sounds complicated, but the idea is actually super simple. The new money isn't spread around evenly. The people who get it first, think big banks, giant corporations, get to spend it while prices are still low. By the time that money trickles down to you and me, prices for everything have already shot up. Your purchasing power gets crushed. And this right here is why what you feel in your gut doesn't match what you see on the news. The official stats might claim a nice, manageable 2 or 3% inflation, but the source argues that number conveniently leaves out the skyrocketing costs of the things you actually need to live: housing, energy, healthcare. The real inflation, the one that affects your life, is way, way higher. Okay, so if that's the problem, what on earth is the solution? This is where we shift gears a bit. We're going to look at how the source claims the wealthy are navigating this whole situation in a fundamentally different way. This slide just lays it out so clearly. The source says most of us are playing one game. We work for an income, and we save it in a currency that's basically designed to lose its value. Meanwhile, the wealthy are playing a completely different game. They're getting out of that currency and into scarce assets, things that can't be easily created, and they're building systems that generate wealth for them. This metaphor from the source is just perfect. It paints this incredibly vivid picture. Cash isn't a safe place to store your value. It's something that's actively, constantly disappearing. The idea is that saving cash isn't the safe, conservative move you think it is. Over time, it's a guaranteed way to lose. And that brings us to the final and most important part of all this. The source doesn't just diagnose the problem and leave you hanging. It offers a detailed 10-point escape plan for anyone who wants to try and opt out of the system it's been describing. Okay, so the first 5 points are all about rewiring your financial thinking. Stop hoarding that melting ice cube of cash and instead move that value into scarce assets, things like real estate, gold, even Bitcoin, stuff they can't just print into oblivion. It also says you have to learn the massive difference between earning income and building wealth and focus on creating passive cash flow. And then you play defense. Stay away from bad debt and pay very close attention to what the central banks are doing because they're the ones writing the rules of the game.
The last 5 points are really about building a life that's resilient. This means you have to educate yourself like crazy on how money actually works. You have to build skills that are valuable no matter what country you're in or what currency is being used. The source also really emphasizes your network, surrounding yourself with people who actually get what's going on. But maybe the most important point is the last one. Start today, right now, because time is the one thing you can never, ever get back. And this is really the closing argument. It's a call to action. Stop passively hoping things will just get better on their own. Instead, you need to actively prepare for a future that, according to the source, is going to look very different from the past. And so we end right back where we started, with a question for you. After hearing this whole argument, from the devaluing currency to the different strategies, the source leaves you with one thing to think about: the very foundation of your own financial world. Is it as solid as you think it is?